How many people in the universe get to meet the Doctor, let alone travel with her? Being with the Doctor, you don't get to choose when it stops, whether you leave her or she leaves you.
The Doc would really want us to keep an eye on the planet, right?
But how is that possible?
If you don't help, the human race is going down.
You with us?
As of now, you will see new defense drones at work.
These machines are going to change the world.
Yo! Remember us? I'm Captain Jack Harkness, and I'm immortal.
Are you feeling insecure? Because you seem to need a lot of praise.
Do I?
Prepare for maximum extermination.
Not you guys.
Don't move!
Now, Jack! Stay strong. People waiting for you.
Hello everyone, welcome back to this Geek Syndicate review episode. We're back. We weren't away for that long, but we found something else to talk about, and that something was the latest Doctor Who episode, Revolution of the Daleks, which aired on January the 1st, 2021. Now, after the year that was 2020, I was kind of hopeful to have a nice Doctor Who-y start to the year, some good fun adventures. So, did I have that? Or was it more of the 2020 poo storm? Let's find out. And I'm here with Mr. Barry Nugent.
Hello.
How you doing, B?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm doing very good. It's a new year. So I was going to say something uplifting and positive. I didn't have anything. Suddenly I didn't have anything. But it is a new year.
It's a new year.
Yeah, it's a new year. It might be a slightly darker start to the new year, but you know, the dawn is coming.
What do they always say? That phrase that means nothing at all because it makes no sense. It's always darkest before the dawn. It's like, well, yeah, that's not really how light works, is it? But okay. So, speaking of how things work, Revolution of the Daleks. I will hit us all with the old synopsis. And unfortunately, these aren't as succinct as the Mandalorian ones. But
I didn't think so.
no, here we go. The Doctor is imprisoned halfway across the universe. On Earth, the sighting of a Dalek alerts Ryan, Graham, and Yaz. Can the return of Captain Jack Harkness help them stop a deadly Dalek takeover? I nearly said takeaway then. That'd be a whole different story. Takeaway of the Daleks.
Daleks have taken over Deliveroo. Wow, God, really would be effed if that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, well. Or there's some squid and you end up with a little Dalek creature that jumps out and gets you.
Yeah, not good.
I've done better thinking about. So, what do you reckon? What do you make of the episode?
Right. So, it's one of these episodes where, or one of these things in general, where you watch it and you're kind of engaged with it, and then kind of like, and you enjoy it, and then the more distance you put between yourself and it, not the less you enjoy it so much, but the more kind of forgettable the episode is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was going to say that was what I was going to say, but that was slightly different to what I was going to say, so that's good.
They did a bait and switch with the trailers, which sometimes is great when that happens because you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. But in this case, I was like, oh, they've done that. I wish they had gone the way I thought they were going to go. Says typical fan. But I think this should have been. You could have got 2 episodes out of this. Heck, you could have got 3 episodes out of this. And it's that thing of, I suppose it's an indication of the, I don't want to say waning popularity because I don't know where, I don't look at viewing figures and stuff like that. But I remember back when David Tennant was rounding up his run and they gave him like feature length ones, didn't they? They gave him 3 feature length ones. And then when he actually regenerated, was that a 2-parter?
That was a 2-part, yeah. So you had the part 1 was on Christmas Day and part 2 was on New Year's Day.
That's it. That was it. That was what this needed.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, to be fair. Because my initial thoughts very similar to what you said. It was kind of like I enjoyed it while I was watching it, but I'm kind of like I almost wish we weren't recording this, because the more I think about it, the more things just unravel in my head, and it's that thing of you pull one thread and everything comes apart.
Yeah.
But that's not to say I didn't enjoy it, and I wouldn't enjoy it on another viewing. It's just one of those ones, and it happens a lot with Doctor Who anyway. It's never been like the most, or it's very rarely the most seamless, plot and everything. Like, there's always something there that you can pull apart, and all the things that I'm going to say that are going to sound massively negative and not negative, they're just like things that I've noticed.
It felt like, it sounds silly, it didn't feel special.
No, and we said that about last year's as well, if you remember. Last year's very much felt like the finale of that first season. And again, this kind of almost felt like a season opener. Yeah. But it should have been a 2-part season opener. You're right. I hadn't really thought about that. Because it was slightly longer. It was an hour and 11 minutes. Yeah. So it was, a bit longer than the 50 minutes sort of normal episode. But even still, it needed a little bit more room to breathe. And given that it was effectively one episode, it did take a while to actually get going. Yeah. Which, if it had been a 2-parter, I wouldn't have minded, because you could have had all that nice. Because all the preamble stuff actually, I enjoyed watching and I enjoyed the build up. But it kind of like that would have been a great cliffhanger to have ended on, and then like you could have had the basically the action movie part of it could have been a whole episode.
I think we've got a lot of ground. Let's get into it. So before we go any further, obviously. Spoilers galore. Yeah, a TARDIS full of spoilers, which is a lot of spoilers. So
it's a fair old bit of spoilers.
If you haven't seen the episode yet, then go and watch it. Then come back. We'll still be here, not trapped inside a podcast, but you know what I mean.
Or are we?
Yeah, or are we? It feels like it sometimes. So to get right to it, I actually thought so you can look, the opening where it was kind of, it basically picks up after last year's episode.
Yeah.
And there's this whole thing about, the Dalek being transported somewhere. So, couple of things. One, given how much trouble that Dalek cost last time, or how much trouble that Dalek did last time, would you really just transport it back in the van with one bloke driving it? No police escort, no unit guards or nothing? Just stick it in the back of a van?
The unit's gone now, remember?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. But
they closed that down with budget cuts.
Yeah, but I've had more security when I've ordered, like, registered post.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to raise the same issue and also some more off the back of it, but they kind of like, the whole idea was that she was the technology secretary at the time, and she was obviously leading it up to be got rid of, kind of thing. But it was kind of like the thing that got me about all that was, you know what, actually you could understate your security. You just got a van, fine. You take it, you drop it off in your secure facility, all good. But your man doesn't stop for a cup of tea halfway, and your man also, how the heck did they know which random truck stop he was going to stop at?
So I'm just going to say, because I don't often do this, but I actually sat, when I was watching it, I was kind of scribbling little notes or whatever. And I've literally, my first I've got DW review. Underneath that, my first question is, how would you know to set up a T-van there? ? That is the first thing I've written down.
That takes some proper calculations.
I was just like, don't get me wrong. So I want to try and do, that kind of like poo sandwich. Yeah, I want to try and sandwich some good stuff. I thought the build-up of the driver, we actually gave him a bit of a personality in this whole thing with his mum, and he looked like his mum had cancer or something because they had the photos on the van.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually quite a good setup for him, as in, is he going to be someone?
Yeah.
When you put that much effort right at the beginning, you kind of think, oh, he's going to be a character, and then boom, he was dead. And I thought that was quite good, because even when he kind of got drugged, I thought, nah, he's not dead. And it's like, oh no, he is. And I thought I quite liked that.
Yeah.
But it kind of then lost points because she just walks away from the T van or whatever, and it's like, oh, I've done nefarious doings, and now I'll get in the van, drive it off. And I thought all that was great, but it made no sense. And I hate to be that sort of retentive guy, but like it just needed just something, something to sort of go, yeah, I gave you his route. He always stopped,
Yeah.
Like he could be on the phone going, yeah, I'm just gonna stop at Sandy's. Yeah, I always stop there. And when he gets there, he's like, where's Sandy? Oh, she's off sick today. It just needed something. It was just a bit too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of almost like it was that style over substance sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like you say, it was really well done. And honestly, that kind of leads me on to my next thing, which is I kind of got confused with the timeline a bit on it. On the the whole episode, because it was kind of like, you had that whole 1 year ago with the the episode happening, and then it was like 367 minutes later, which is when he's in the van and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there wasn't really like a cut point again, so everything seemed like it was all happening in almost on one day. Because obviously you've got the dude there who's been experimenting on the case and trying to duplicate it, make the thing. And I think there was a throwaway line where the guy from the episode that you didn't watch, so that American dude, that Jack Robinson, he was in the Spider episode basically.
Yeah.
And he said it was going to take about a year to complete the project. So I don't know, you've only just picked up a piece of alien technology. You've got to figure out what the hell the hole's made out of. Because I know it was thrown together from scrap metal in Cardiff, which don't get me started. But it was kind of like, it's going to take you a year to build some kind of advanced drone out of that technology. How do you know that? What kind of a sprint cycle are you working to on that? But all that aside, that's all fine. My main complaint with that is I kind of lost track of the timeline, and then when you've got little scientist dude there saying, "Oh, I found some organic residue, and look what I've made." It's like, what? So you're not only some kind of master engineer, you're also a genetic engineer. That dude's not been paid enough. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, like you said, I like the opening. I like the build up. I like the way they brought in the technology secretary, and it was all a little bit conspiracy and stuff like that. And then the whole testing thing, and I quite like that.
But actually, the sleeker look on these new drones, when you know that they are drones and they're not actually Daleks, because if they were actual Daleks, I would have other things to say. But I actually quite liked it. Yeah,
I mean, and I thought the plan was a good plan to roll them out as like defense.
Yeah.
To sort of, and it taps into that kind of Big Brother thing and stuff like that. I actually thought that was quite a good idea. I thought the plan was good. I just think for me it's that kind of, it's a Daleks again, and
Yeah.
But I was kind of liking the way they were being used this time around.
Yeah, and it kind of, this comes back to me to what we were saying before, because like the whole thing where you got the Yaz and co, they go off, and we'll get onto them properly in a bit, but they go off to confront Jack Robinson and like, what are you doing working with this Dalek? And he's like, I've got no idea what you're talking about, because he doesn't.
Yeah.
And I quite like that. And for me, the cliffhanger bit would have been where Milado gets taken over and goes to Osaka and sees all the drones that have been cloned.
Yeah.
That's your cliffhanger point to me, sort of thing. And I think a lot of these issues we've talked about in that opening scene and the run up to it, they could have been addressed by just having that bit extra breathing room.
Yeah. I mean, I would have stuck my cliffhanger would have been, I mean, I might have gone all out and done a 3-part, but if I only got a 2-part, I would have ended it where they've basically, everything's gone to hell even. And they've taken out the Prime Minister, and everyone's just getting shot down by Daleks.
Mm.
And the Doctor's just there going like, I don't know what to do. Do you know what I mean? And then that's where it ends. Because then, like you say, then you're in the middle and you're ready for the more action-packed stuff to come. I mean, I don't know. There's another part of me that would have almost liked to have seen the Daleks take over for a little bit.
Yeah.
But we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. So whilst all this is going on, the Doctor is in prison because obviously she got stuck in prison at the end of the last series. And I have to say, for me, it was one. It's probably certainly in Jodie's run, it's one of the most wasted opportunities because she was only in there for like what 10 minutes.
Again, splitting it into a two-part. You know what? Actually, if you'd had Jodie in prison for the entirety of the first part up until she gets back and then the Daleks cut loose, that's good, because in my head after the end of that last thing, I was thinking this whole story. Even when I saw the title, it was Revolution of the Daleks. I thought it was going to be they were going to invade that place, and we were going to have almost like Alien 3 sort of thing, like the Doctor escaping Daleks in a prison sort of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
That sort of an episode.
Yeah.
And it's just this whole thing of, and it's something Russell T Davies did. Stephen Moffat wasn't quite guilty of, but Chris Chibnall's gone back to, and it's that whole, these like specials have to be set on Earth, and they have to be set now in the current time.
Yeah.
And you need to get away from that, because it just becomes samey. It's like, those first 4 Christmas specials that we had back from 2005 onwards, it was a Christmas Day invasion, a Christmas Day invasion, a Christmas Day invasion, a Christmas Day invasion.
Yeah.
Okay, one of them was in Victorian times, but it's the same old, And I think we could have had a really good episode of whatever happening in the prison before we got to the main Dalek reveal. Intercut with Yaz, Ryan, and Graham's year, of them trying to slot back into life and how they're doing. And
yeah, I definitely think a lot of the issues I've got with the episode is to do with brevity and the fact that, like you said, you could have done a whole episode of the Doctor in prison. Clearly a lot of time had passed, but it was just sort of glossed over.
Yeah.
It's only because there was a throwaway line where I think she said she'd been in there for like decades.
Yeah, she literally popped out and says, "I've been in prison for 60 years."
Yeah. It was such a sort of throwaway line, and I think you could have really, other than having that sort of classic where, she's been scratching the walls or whatever, I don't know, there could have been a better way to have communicated the fact that she's been in there for just that amount of time.
Yeah.
And I quite like the fact she's in there and there's, some of her greatest enemies are in there. I quite like that.
Yeah, but again, you could have done more with it.
You could have done more with it. And also as well, I think with some of the specials in the past, what's tended to happen as well is you haven't had the companions in there so much.
Yeah.
They've kind of thrown the Doctor in with like a new companion just for that episode.
Yeah. Which kind of makes them a bit more standalone and specially. Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of would have, if they hadn't already, he says it with speech marks, killed the Master, I would have quite liked it if they'd both been beamed to that prison. And then they kind of had to sort of do that whole, I know it sounds a bit cliche, but that kind of worked together. I mean, there's ways you can make it different. But it was sort of, and in the trailers, I know you probably wouldn't have watched the trailers for it, but the way they do the trailers made me think, well, she's going to be stuck in there for like virtually the whole episode, and it's going to be on Graham, Yaz, and Ryan to sort of, and Captain Jack to kind of do the biz.
Yeah, which is, because I didn't watch any of the trailers or anything, but I've been doing a bit of research today and just like comparing some notes and seeing some bits, and that seems to be the takeaway was from like the marketing for it, was that it was all based around how do Ryan, Yaz, and Graham defeat a Dalek invasion almost. And even when it's not true Daleks, that's going to be a pain in the bum.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're getting. I don't know. I think for me, what the worst things was, because you say, she had that throwaway line of I was in prison for 60 years, and then like Ryan's like, yeah, we've been alone for 10 months. And it's like, okay, great. 60 years, 10 months.
But I get that. But to be honest, I get that. And I quite like that. I quite like the fact that she came back all kind of cracking jokes and cracking wires and whatever. And they were like, we've been stuck here for 10 months.
In their home. With a Dalek. With a TARDIS.
Yeah, but it's that thing of they can't do anything with it. They don't know how to use it. The person they've been traveling around the universe with and all the rest of it is gone. They don't know if she's alive or dead. They probably think she's dead.
Mm.
So, that's a huge loss that you got to come to terms with over those 10 months. And then for her to just suddenly pop back and not even come back with any kind of, I guess, humility, just to kind of come back and go, hey, because obviously she thinks no time has passed. She thinks she's got back to exactly that moment. So I quite like that. I quite liked, and Yaz pushes her and whatever. I kind of quite like that bit of it. And then I actually, like I said, there's stuff in there that I liked. Like I quite liked the little conversation she had with Ryan. Because, and you could kind of see, the other thing is it was a shame that I knew that Ryan and Graham were leaving, because it did sort of put a tinge on it, because you could see it was coming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I hadn't have known, I probably still would have thought, wonder if did, but I would have been more wondering.
Yes. Yeah.
But I quite liked the conversation, and so it was obviously setting it up that he was gonna go, but even then he wasn't 100%, and then I wasn't sure, and then for a second I thought they might die. I thought, wow, you're gonna go there, because when you're on the ship with Captain Jack, and I thought, well, Jack's immortal, so he's all right, happy days, and maybe those two won't make it out. But then I thought, no, that's too dark.
Yeah, it's too dark for a New Year's Day. Yeah, I mean, speaking of, I think there were some really nice character bits. I think, that speech with Ryan, I've seen it being described a bit more of tell and not show. And actually, as we said, going back to our point, if it had been a two-party, you could have shown a lot of that. Yeah. But given the time they had, it worked well. And actually, the speech was delivered quite well from Toshin Cole.
Yeah.
I've not had much complimentary to say about him in the past, but he was good.
I had to roll my eyes a little bit when she came, and maybe you'll be able to because you're more the expert. When she sort of came down and she was like, 10 minutes to Osaka. I was like, what? Well, why would it take 10 minutes for the TARDIS to get anywhere?
I'm glad you brought this up, because I kind of posted too, because Gary Erskine said the same thing.
Okay.
On this thing, and I kind of responded to him. But you think about it, right? The TARDIS is a time machine, right?
Yeah.
You're inside the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're traveling through the vortex.
Yeah.
Just because you're arriving externally to the outside world, you're arriving at the same time as you left. You've still had to travel to get there.
Okay. No. Yeah. Okay.
The TARDIS is still moving through the vortex. Time's passing for the occupants.
Yeah. No.
So I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay. Has that been explicitly explained before?
Has it been explicitly explained before? There have been, because they've mentioned in quite a few times that because it's come up in probably more in Classic Who, to be fair, but it's come up where just because we're just going round the corner, it can take time to get there, sort of thing, and I'm sure even in like Christopher Eccleston's time or David Tennant's, there was a line about we can sometimes you'll get to the far future. You travel thousands of years and light years really quickly, but actually a trip round the corner takes you 10 years or something. There's been sort of throwaway lines like that before.
Yeah, to me, I'm not disagreeing with you. To me, it felt more like she kind of said it was written in so they could have that conversation.
Oh, yeah. I mean? No, that is completely how it came across. But again, that didn't bother me. There was other things that bothered me later on.
Yeah. It was just something that just stuck in my head when she said it. I was like, oh, okay.
But for me, it was, I'd say a lot of the characterizations were good actually with the companions, and I liked the Yaz Captain Jack pairing.
Yes, and I thought the conversation the two of them had about Doctor, I thought that's probably one of my standout bits from the episode. Actually, I thought that was a really good.
Yeah.
That was really good.
To be fair, their whole time together, they worked really well.
Yeah.
And you could almost see like if Yaz hadn't got off with the TARDIS, you could almost see like I don't know, Jack restarting Torchwood with Yaz or her going off with him and having intergalactic adventures kind of thing.
Yeah, he worked really well with everyone, but he worked really well with the Doctor, like really well. And like you said, we already talked about Yaz. He didn't really get much time with sort of Ryan and Graham, but yeah, I thought it was he had a lot of my favourite bits.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've always, I've been a bit kind of like, I found Captain Jack in the past to be hit and miss. Sometimes I've loved him, sometimes I haven't. But the thing that struck me with this was he just seemed older and wiser, but in the right way. It was a natural progression. And I don't know if you've listened to any of the Lives of Captain Jack audios or the Torchwood ones.
No, not yet, no.
So some of them are, to my mind, not great. Well, that's a podcast for another day. But there has been, especially with the Lives of Captain Jack, which actually are really good, those box sets. And you can kind of like see the different versions of Jack. So they have some that are set like when he was a time agent before he became Captain Jack. You've got some that are set like, before Torchwood, some that are set after he's died, and then like through different periods of his being. And whether deliberately or not, this Captain Jack fit neatly into kind of like the sort of towards the end of the Captain Jack in that lot. He's kind of much more, a little bit less wisecracky, a little bit more of the wisdom that I think he's always had, to be fair, because in Torchwood he quite often, when he was either like doing the whole kind of like, hey, I'm Captain Jack, woo, let's just wing things, but sometimes he had those moments of, actually this is how it is,
Yeah.
And again, he kind of learned off the Doctor, to be fair. And yeah, John Barrowman, he just massively blew it away, and he did not look a day older either.
Yeah. No. And I think the line that he dropped was to Yaz, because the bit where she's sort of talking to him and he sort of says, yeah, it's a hard way to live. And then he sort of says, enjoy the journey because the joy is worth the pain. That was it. Yeah. I thought, it was a really good line, and sort of brought Yaz back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah. And you could see it actually affected it. It did affect it for the rest of the episode. You could see her thinking about it and coming to terms with that. And I really like that. Let's move on to, I guess, the more actiony based stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How did you rate the whole? I'm not going to use the phrase SAS Daleks because it annoyed me, but the Death Squad stuff and the Doctor's plan.
What kind of plan was that?
Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
No, what kind of plan was that? It's like, so
fighting fire with fire, mate.
It doesn't hold up. So your plan is, we've got all these Daleks on Earth. We're gonna bring in the other Daleks. I will say I did like the fact that when the other Daleks turned up, they're like, "Nah, these lot are inferior. Take them out." I did like that. And even when the one Dalek left tried to reason, was like, "Nope, it's still inferior. Take him out." So I like that, because it's like that's true to form. But the plan made no sense, because the way she was running it was like, "Yep, I'll call in more fierce Daleks to take out these Daleks, and then I'll just blow the ship up." But there's a bit where she actually says, "Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, I've got loads of these SS Daleks running around on Earth." Exactly.
Yeah. So the thing of it for me was, like, I was kind of like, because her initial thing was, they're Death Squad Daleks, they're just focused on the purity of the Dalek race. They'll just take them out and go away. And I kind of thought,
yeah,
they know.
Yeah.
And then she was like, yeah, unless they know I'm here. Because that was the part of the plan where it was like, because then Jack Robertson started talking about the Doctor, they decided to stay. Yeah. And that's when she was like, oh, no, what am I going to do now? Right. But my issue with this was, so she goes, as long as they don't know I'm here, it's all good. Then lands on top of a suspension bridge in full view of the entire Dalek fleet. And I just kind of like did that Nathan Fillion, Nathan Fillion gif that there is, where he's just like,
yeah. I
literally did that, and Amy just went, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that would have been time for some sort of stealth mode to be engaged, or land it in someone's, in a quiet suburb in Hackney or something, maybe.
Yeah. Now that said, the way she eventually did get rid of the Daleks, other than why the hell did they all just swarm into the TARDIS?
Yeah.
Other than that, I thought actually that was quite a neat way of getting rid of that TARDIS from Earth. In fairness, however, it's a shame to see that console room go.
but I think the other things as well. I couldn't remember
where that had come from.
where that had come from. I know it'd come from the last episode, and I don't necessarily want to sort of go and explain it, but I couldn't remember, and I think a lot of where's that TARDIS come from?
Yeah, and if you are a casual viewer of Doctor Who, which a lot of people are at Christmas, let's face it, it means not. It's like what,
Also, even if you're not a casual viewer, I mean, that last episode, when did that air?
Well, it was March last year.
Yeah,
it was before lockdown started, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a long time to kind of hold that information.
Yeah. To be fair, one of my notes for this episode was could have done with more of a recap, or more of a look back, like a previously on kind of thing, or something.
Yeah.
Just for that, because I'd forgotten. Because for a minute I thought it was the Ruthless Doctor's TARDIS, and I thought, where did they get that from? Because she went off in that, and then it kind of like slowly, vaguely came back to me after the episode had ended, because I was thinking about it, and it's like, oh yeah, no, that's there they got, yeah, okay. But yes, absolutely, it's kind of like where did it come from, and how and why.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the idea of it, but like I said, the actual original plan made no sense to me, because even if it went flawlessly and they took out the other Daleks, everything we know about Daleks,
there's no way they're not going to look
in.
around and go, you know what, we're here now.
Well, now that we're here, they're not going to just go, well, that's that. Right, that's that done.
Bye, citizens of Earth.
Yeah.
We thank you for your cooperation.
Yeah. Everyone back to the ship. We're off. But I thought, no, George, we've got no time for that. Just get back to the ship. You just had to roll with it, because, like I said, going back to that thread pulling thing, it just kind of. Yeah. But there was some stuff which actually you had to look for it, which I don't like to do. So you kind of roll over it. And there's other stuff which is there was a lot of things which were so glaring. Yeah. You couldn't look away, And that for me, that was a biggie. The other thing I thought was a biggie for me was going back to where they'd found the plant in Osaka where they'd been building all these
cloning all the Dalek
dudes. Yeah. And we just had to accept that and I kind of liked the fact it was all automated, and they got the workers in and they built it all and blah blah blah. And we both work in IT. You could do that. Sending plans and all that. You just roll with it. The thing that I didn't roll with was when they went, where the workers now? And and he shows them drip, and it's kind of like, we now use them for food. And I made a note, and I'm going to refer to my notes. Okay, yeah. So my question would have been to the one Dalek that's done all this by AI or whatever. How did you kill the humans?
I see. My question was different to yours, and it's quite odd because it makes me a tiny bit more empathetic with you, which I'm not used to. Was okay. So you've got rid of all those workers by killing them, turning into food. What about their families and friends? Did they not notice they were gone?
It isn't even that. It's just on a basic level. Everything's automated.
Yeah, I did. You know what? I didn't even take that.
So how could you? And it would have been a massive workforce. So how did you kill them? Did you? If it was like the sort of starfish Daleks, as I'm calling them, if they sort of dived onto their backs or something and then sort of killed them, but then even if they dive onto their backs, and only you can still control them. It makes no sense. Yeah. It makes no sense. Again, I had to just go, you know what, I can't think too much about it. They've killed them somehow.
Yeah. Deaths occurred.
Yeah, deaths occurred. just leave them with it.
Yeah. I mean, my other thing was the other factory as well. But it's like we need to get some of those 3D printers.
Yeah, I mean they're quality, aren't they?
Jeez. Yeah, they were. Yeah, they should be on the market.
Yeah.
And being able to actually replicate, not just 3D print with one material, one piece of plastic. But they could do all the electronics, They can apparently program
Yep.
the AI.
Yeah.
Presumably fill up the fire extinguishers.
Yeah. Like I said, it's you know, it's Doctor Who. You kind of take. I say that's actually a bit of a disservice to Doctor Who, because Doctor Who is, can be very, very intelligent sci-fi and blah blah. So, but like you said, those things you just roll with it. They've got a printer that can do that. Okay, cool. I'm with you. That's fine.
Yeah.
I liked when she kind of did that whole kind of like, I'm the Doctor, I'm the one who stops the Doctor. It was this whole identity crisis thing that she was dealing with.
Yes.
And I quite like that. I quite like, it's like, sort yourself out. It's like, this is what I do. So I like that. And maybe, you're right, maybe if you had that longer episode, and maybe we'd had, like, say, a bit of a recap, or they stuck on the final episode before, or something. I don't know. That might have helped. Because when she was giving the big speech to Ryan, again, it was that sort of thing of, I felt a slight disconnect, because I knew the highlights of what happened before.
You knew the cliff notes sort of thing.
Yeah, it wasn't in that same. I know that episode was quite a heavy emotional episode, but a lot of that is lost because of the gap.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like 10 months, so it's understandable.
Whereas I feel other sort of specials have done a better job at bridging that gap.
Yeah. I think for me, I mean, I've done a lot of laughing and japing and pulling at threads and stuff, but I enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, I did.
It was fine. I would quite happily watch it again on a rewatch without rolling my eyes. I'll never. To be fair, when I'm doing a rewatch Doctor Who, I've never really skipped stories, but there are some that I won't concentrate through, or I'll roll my eyes out the whole way. Like Love and Monsters, that kind of stuff. This isn't one of those. This is one that I will enjoy for what it is.
Yeah, because it was a fun episode.
Yeah. And it was nice to see some Dalek on Dalek action. Again, I'd have liked to have seen more of that probably.
There's probably sites to go to for that stuff.
I mean, Rule 34 and all that. But yeah, no. I enjoyed it despite all the issues. I enjoyed it, and I still, thinking back to moments of it, bring me a bit of joy.
Yeah.
And it was good to see Doctor Who back on the screen for a bit. It's going to be a while again before we get it again, I guess. So yeah, it was nice. It was nice to have some Doctor Who. I just wish there was a bit more disconnect between it and the previous goings on. And I think there was some missed opportunities. And
it's funny because my overall feeling about it is it should have been longer. So I must have. Do you know what I mean? So I must have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I just felt that a lot of my criticisms would have been washed away.
Been addressed.
Yeah, it had it been given time to breathe, and I really do believe like we should have got an episode. It should have been 2 episodes, and that first episode we should have barely seen the companions, and it should have focused on the Doctor in prison and you could have Jack in there for pretty much the whole episode, and then he's kind of the companion for that episode. Then in the next episode, they're back with everyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. It was good to see Doctor Who back on TV, and I think she's settling into her. I mean, it's what season. She's done 2 seasons now.
Yeah, that was so two seasons, 2 specials.
Yeah, I think she's still into the role.
I mean, either way, in fairness, I'm looking forward to more Doctor Who.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to just Yaz and the Doctor and the TARDIS having a smaller crew. However, it looks like that's not going to be a thing.
Okay. I'm just saying. Yeah, and it's on one hand because people that don't know, John Bishop's now going to join as a companion, isn't he?
Well, so none of the official releases say companion or joining the TARDIS crew or something. They just say he's going to be having adventures with the Doctor.
Well, there's a little clip.
Because it was on after the episode.
Oh, okay, I didn't.
And it's the dude reading the horoscope.
Yeah.
Yeah, the colour blue and the letter D and number 13.
Yeah.
All that stuff. So I'm kind of still, and this is, I guess, a little bit of optimism. hoping that he's not full-time TARDIS crew member, because I'd quite like to see just some Dr. Yaz time. Again, I'm sure there are sites for that. That's another issue. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't think they'd go to all that trouble of having effectively an end credit scene. God, Marvel's got a lot to answer for. Effectively having an end credit scene and introducing John Bishop as blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? I think he's going to be a companion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I'm just hoping he isn't.
Yeah. I think he'll be good, actually. I mean, I do think he'll be good, but I had gotten used to the idea of it just being he has no doctor, and I actually think that would have worked really well.
Yeah.
I don't think they needed to have another companion.
I think, you know, the TARDIS was overcrowded. We said that over and over again in our reviews of the last 2 seasons. So it would have been nice to have just 2 people wandering around, 2 friends, one learning off the other. Saying that, let's just, before we fully round up, have you seen the rumours that are floating around today?
That she's quitting?
Yeah.
Yes, I only saw them a little before we started recording. Is there much weight to the rumours then?
So, I don't know. So it was the Mirror who first put something up about it. And apparently, according to our good friend Martin from the Bad Wolf podcast, they're usually pretty good with their predictions.
Right.
And he has also had it from a source that hasn't steered him wrong in the past, that the rumours are true.
Right.
I can kind of understand it, because it's like, you know, most actors do sort of 3 years and then move on. So it's a good time. You know, it's a good time to go. But I kind of feel like she's just bedding in, and I'd like to see more. So I'm hoping they're not true.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, I'm not surprised as well for what you've just said. Also, she's a big time actress, so you know, she probably went into that with a kind of, this is a limited
absolutely
thing for me, you know. But yeah, I kind of feel that she's got the character down now, the Doctor that she wants. Do you know what I mean? I feel she's kind of got that down, and I think that with some great, I think she, you know, with some great, I'm trying to choose my words carefully because it makes out that she's not good, but I do think there's been times where, like, the script has let her down.
The script's let her down. It's the same as David Tennant had. The script's let him down a lot of the time.
And I think that hopefully, fingers crossed, she'll get a chance to sort of really push the bat out in the 3rd season.
Yeah.
And maybe with having, even if they have got two companions, that's still less than they've currently got.
True.
So that hopefully might give her more weight, you know, in terms of they're not having, because when you're trying to spread it out amongst that many people, so everyone's getting a fair crack of the whip, as it were, inevitably people's performances are going to get watered down because you haven't got that amount of time.
Yeah.
Which I think, to a certain extent, is maybe what's happened with this episode.
Yes, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's another reason I'm kind of hoping she stays on for a bit, is because the next season's probably going to be aired in, 2022 now, I imagine.
Yeah.
Before it's actually done. The year after that is going to be the 60th anniversary. Quite nice to have a Doctor who's settled in for an anniversary year.
Yeah.
Not that that's a concern for Jodie, but it's a concern for me.
Yeah. Rather than, this seems like a good time to end it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no. As I say, I you know, all the best will in the world to whatever she's doing. You know, it's been a joy to have her on screens as the Doctor, and she's been a good 13th Doctor.
Also, as well, I mean, if there's one thing that Big Finish has proven, you know, even if she does go, she'll probably pop up on Big Finish. Everyone else seems to have done.
Yeah, I mean, even Chris Eccleston's come back now.
Yeah.
And he didn't leave on the best of terms, shall we say?
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Still waiting for Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi episodes, but then again, they're both still massively in demand as well, aren't they? So
Yeah.
but no, it's good. It's good times, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next season, whatever it brings and whenever it comes.
Agreed.
Cool. Well, let's wrap it up there. Then we've been going for a bit longer than I intended, but I guess with the special, we're always going to. So, thanks for listening, everyone. You can find us on the old interweb in the usual places, which is the Geek Syndicate website, geeksyndicate.co.uk. If you have any comments or questions or theories or anything you want to talk to us about, drop us an email at thegeeks@geeksyndicate.co.uk. Barry will make sure I'll get a copy if it's relevant to me and it's not going to make me cry. In fact, sometimes he does it when it is going to make me cry because he's sadistic. Yeah. He makes me put the webcam on and everything.
I like to share the fun.
Yeah. You can also find us on Twitter, which is @Geek Syndicate for Geek Syndicate guys, @WedgeDoc for myself. You can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Patreon, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Ko-fi if you want to buy us a Ko-fi. Please do check us out on there. It's all basically the website /Geek Syndicate. So, on that note, thanks once again, B. It's been a joy talking to you as ever.
Likewise.
And we will see you next time for more podcasty fun and games.
Take care all.
Cheerio.